on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by William Hill. Download the app and play today. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
This is News Talk.
Welcome along to Tuesday night's football show. Coming up this hour, we'll be speaking to Keith Tracy about the Republic of Ireland ahead of their clash with Portugal this Thursday and Hungary on Sunday. Our number is 0879 180 180 if you want to get in touch with any questions at all. But we are beginning this hour by going back to Sunday afternoon in the 2-0 win for Shamrock Rovers in the FAI Cup Final against Cork City. The hero on the day for Rovers was Rory Gaffney, who scored both goals to secure a historic double for his side. I'm delighted to say he's with us on the line right now. Rory, massive congratulations. How are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Feeling good, yeah. Celebrations are over, so starting to get back to normal life again.
That was quick. Are the celebrations still going for some lads?
I think a lot of lads are gone on holidays with the week off ahead of, I suppose, playing the last couple of European games. So lads are taking full advantage of the time off, and a lot of them left Dublin yesterday. Right.
You weren't tempted to go yourself?
No, two small kids at home, so I think it would have been too much trouble bringing them both away.
Very good. You've got bigger priorities at play, and obviously you've got a game next week as well. So talk to us about the couple of minutes, the 6 minutes or so on Sunday afternoon. The first goal, obviously, one of those where it's a bit of a striker's instinct. You're in a good position, you bury it. The second one, though, you've got loads of time to think about it when you're bearing down on goal. What's going through your mind?
I suppose for the second one, I took the touch into the box, and I was looking for Graham Burke. Got my head up and I was thinking, where's Burke? I'd try and square it to him. But there was no sign of him. I suppose I was running out of time and running out of space, and I just spotted the little gap between the goalie's legs, and I just said, I'll have to give it a go now. And I suppose it paid off.
Yeah, it because of what you've explained there clearly is a lot of information that's going through your mind at that point. Is there still some aspect of instinct to this? Your body kind of knows what to do, where exactly the touch should go, and what exactly you should do when the keeper comes out a little bit towards you?
Yeah, I just think I took the big touch into the box, and I was obviously thinking to myself, let's see, can I get a shot away? But the angle wasn't great after the first touch, so then I was kind of had it in my head, I need to pass it here, but I suppose I had no option to pass, and the only thing on was to just try and go through his legs. If he had rushed me, I would have probably tried to chip it over him, and I don't know, that might have ended as well.
How does it sit with you, and maybe this will take a little bit of time for this to sink in, but how does it sit with you knowing that you've secured a really massive moment for a lot of these Shamrock Rovers fans? Because winning leagues is brilliant, and winning cups are amazing, but to secure a double, as I say, is a really historic thing, and to be the man who won it on the afternoon for them, that must feel really special.
Yeah, I think it's, I know it means an awful lot to the fans, and I suppose the people involved, the club, obviously alongside the players and the management. We work so hard each season and each week for days out like that in the Aviva. The lads, I suppose I signed in 2020, and the lads had always spoke about the 2019 Cup Final. How it was such a great occasion for not only them but for their families. It does feel like, I suppose, an All-Ireland day in Dublin. I can only imagine what that feels like, having experienced the FAI Cup Final in the Aviva. But it was a great day out. I think there was over 25 that travelled up from Tuam to watch the match, so they had a great day out. And I suppose to be the man to score the goal is a nice feeling, but most of all, it was just the most important thing was that we won.
Yeah, of course. Let's have a quick listen to your manager, Stephen Bradley, speaking about you after the game.
I know Rory from Limerick, playing with him, and I know what type of character he is. And when we said about his injury, he said, just trust me, give me an opportunity and I'll show you I'm ready to play. He had concrete offers elsewhere. He didn't take them. Stayed even Thursday. We have a decision. Do you take him to Greece, understanding the level you're against, or do you keep him here and get ready for this and keep him here? And he goes and does that. He's the little things he does in the game that go unnoticed. You wouldn't see them on camera. It's really clever what he's doing in terms of how he was manipulating their back three in order to allow Graham to play. So it was really, really clever what he was doing, and that only comes with real experience and know-how.
Talk us back through this season then, and I guess prior to the season, more to the point, Rory, you have injury, you get up and you have to have ankle surgery, and your future at the club maybe isn't certain. So talk us through what actually happens here. Stephen outlined a little bit of it.
Yes, probably a year ago was the morning after the last league game. The lads had beaten Waterford And I went under the knife the next morning. I had trained that week in the build up to the Waterford game, and I made myself available if there was I suppose, an injury crisis and needed another forward on the bench, but there was no injuries, so I didn't make the squad, and so I just went in, got the surgery the next day, knowing that there was probably 12, 14 weeks of rehab ahead after that. A lot of it now was just lying around waiting for, I suppose, the body to recover. But I just wanted to, I suppose, prove to myself that I could get back fit. I commute up and down from Galway, so the last thing I wanted was another season of just driving up and down a couple of times a week and breaking down with injuries, and I suppose wasting my time and wasting everyone else's time. So, but I knew, I suppose, towards the end of the rehab that it was going good, and that I was feeling good, and I was, I suppose, ready to get back on the pitch.
That must have been really close to the start of the season then.
Yeah, it was. I think I played a trial game against Bohemians under 20s. I think that was 2 or 3 days before Rovers played Bows and Aviva for the opener. I suppose that was the game that I just had to show the manager that I was fully fit again. So it was a cold Friday evening, and there wasn't many touches of the ball. It was just me running around an Astro trying to burn the GPS unit off my back to prove that I was fit. And I suppose I did.
And sorry, was Stephen there, or was he just looking at the stats afterwards?
No, he was there, yeah, but if he was signing me off footballing ability that night, he wouldn't have signed me, but all that mattered was the numbers on the GPS unit.
And when you have that conversation with him, are you giving it the big one? Do you actually have to persuade him verbally as well?
I know, I kind of nearly wanted to persuade myself.
Yeah.
I knew that if I suppose, hit the numbers that I was capable of hitting previous, that I knew obviously I'd been out for whatever the guts is, 6-7 months, that I was only going to get stronger with time. And, that's what's happened. I didn't get in the team probably until Aaron Green got injured. It was actually against Bohemians as well. I think we lost on a Monday night. And I'd probably been, I suppose, a big part player up to that point. Aaron started the season so well. Michael Noonan came in, started so well. Graham Burke was doing well. So it was all the forwards that have played the season, when they've had the jerseys, they've done really well. So I just had to be patient. But I probably got into the team in the second half of the season.
Were you concerned going under the knife as a 35-year-old that it might be a bit of a setback you wouldn't come back from?
No, not really. I actually had the same surgery on the opposite side when I signed for Cambridge back in, I think it was 2015. That ended up being a bit of a disaster. I signed there and had a pain inside of my ankle, which turned out to need surgery. And I ended up being out for the guts of about 6 months trying to get to the bottom of that before going under the knife. So I never really kicked the ball for Cambridge, and then I knew the symptoms were the same then for the last year when I was playing for Shamrock Rovers. So I knew something that it needed to be addressed, and I wanted to get it done over the off season.
When it comes to the commuting, as you mentioned it there, has that always been the case since you've been playing for Rovers, always going over and back from Galway?
Yeah, I suppose just the cost of living in Dublin, the house prices, it wouldn't make sense for us to move up. So compared to what we get in the west of Ireland. So in the last couple of years, the manager's been very good to me. If there's recovery sessions or, say, gym sessions, he lets me do them back in Galway rather than coming up to them.
So how many times a week are you up in Dublin?
Typically, I drive up on a Monday morning and we train on a Monday, gym in the afternoon. Then I drive back down on a Monday, do my own stuff on a Tuesday. Wednesday is a day off for the whole team, and then I'd come up on a Thursday, stay Thursday night, play the game on a Friday, and go back home for the weekend.
Okay, that sounds very manageable, because we were speaking to Tim Clancy a couple of weeks ago, and he was doing the Trim to Cork commute for as long as he possibly could as manager, and at the end it just wore him down. Whereas as a player, and a player that Stephen Bradley obviously trusts, you managed to find a good bit of balance there. It sounds ideal. Yeah, it is. But I suppose if I don't do the work back home, on the Tuesdays and the Saturday mornings when the lads are working, kind of comes out in the wash. If I decide to start cutting corners, it'll quickly become noticeable that I'm not doing the work, and I suppose then I'll have to show up on a Tuesday or Saturday. Yeah. Talk to us about Stephen Bradley as a player then, as teammates together in Limerick. How close were you during that? I think it was a season or two together? Yeah, it was just a long time ago now. I think it was 2000 and maybe 13 and 14. We weren't full-time like we were, I suppose, today, so he didn't get to see, I suppose, an awful lot of him compared to what you see
see of lads today. But I suppose if I was to compare him to any of our current midfielders, I'd say he's quite similar to Dylan Watts.
Right. Okay. Obviously one of the great young players that have come through at Irish football. Did you know that he was going to be one of the great modern managers in the League of Ireland as well, just from the person that he was when you played with him?
I didn't. I don't mean that, I suppose, in a bad way. It's just we were part-time. We only speak Tuesday and Thursday evening, so you didn't get to see an awful lot of the lads. I was only a young lad at the time, so I probably didn't really know what was happening. But as he said, once he finished up with Limerick, he got straight into the coaching. So although he's young, he's probably very experienced at this stage now. He must be coaching for the good of 13, 14 years.
Yeah. And when you join Rovers in February 2020, is that a very sort of personal, I've played with this guy before sort of contact from Stephen Bradley, or is it totally separate?
But I know I knew him, so that there was obviously a connection there. But I think it was actually the 2019 Cup Final. I remember watching it, and I remember Rovers went 1-up late on in the game, and then I think Michael Duffy scored maybe 90 seconds later, and I thought, that's them, like Dundalk are probably going to go on and win it now. But no, Rovers won it. I suppose they won it in penalties. Gary O'Neill, I think, scored the winner, and I was kind of thought they're building something here. Obviously, Tala was always the best place to play your football from when I had been in Ireland previous, and then the opportunity came a couple of months later to sign. I just thought if I don't take this opportunity now, another striker might, and I might have missed the boat.
Were you dying to come home at that point?
I wasn't dying to come home, but things weren't going too well for me, so I thought I didn't really want to be moving around in the UK, bouncing from League 2 teams or conference teams that I suppose I've no connection or no affiliation with. So, and as I said, I thought Rovers were building something, so I wanted, I suppose, get on board straight away.
Was it tough to settle in at Rovers, tough to readjust? Because we always ask the opposite question, how hard is it to adjust to life in England when you've spent whatever it was, 5 years over in England, playing football over there? Do you have to readjust to the league back here?
It was a strange time. I suppose I signed 2 weeks later, it was COVID, and the league shut down for a couple of months. And then I came back and I ended up having an Achilles injury that needed surgery. So I ended up being out until, I suppose, the start of 2021 season. So again, it probably took me a couple of months to get up to speed then and get into the team and start getting regular games. But no, I obviously knew that the league was improving. A lot more teams were going full time. You could see the league was growing at the time. Rovers had Jack Byrne, Graham Burke, players that, great pedigree. So, you knew that they were onto something.
Yeah, that must have been a tough enough experience for you at that point. Obviously, it was tough for everybody going through COVID, but you were expecting to come home, be one of the leading lights, I presume, of that Shamrock Rovers team, and then with that Achilles injury, as you mentioned, you've got COVID to deal with, you've got changing country to deal with, and also a lack of playing time, even when the league does return in front of limited fans.
Yeah, it was strange. I think we were lucky. We were classed as elite athletes, weren't we? So we were allowed to travel more than 2K from the house. The local gym were letting me use the gym off the back of being, I suppose, an elite athlete. And so that's how I passed the time really during COVID, going to the gym and getting ready for the season to kick off again. And then unfortunately got injured straight away.
The couple of years that follow, though, PFAI Players Player of the Year in 2022, after you hit your stride the previous year, it all kind of comes good then. Was that all a consequence maybe of the Achilles injury, refinding your confidence, finding your feet again and getting going in this Rovers team, that it did take that 1 or 2 seasons before you really started shooting the lights out?
Yeah, I think it was actually, I suppose, playing for the manager. It was the first time that, I suppose, played in a team that would be classed as a possession-based team, very structured, manager always delivering the same message. I suppose at this stage, when he comes in at half-time, you nearly know what he's going to say. That's one positive about him. He's not changing his message each week. He's very consistent, and he delivers it the same way. So I suppose you know what you're going to get. But playing with very good players down through the years, if you even look at all the lads that I suppose came in as young players and have left, Liam Scales, Andy Lyons, Neil Ferrugia. Thinking of all the players, like obviously we've had great success, but they've also developed so many good players that have, I suppose, gone on to higher levels. And when you're playing with all these players, it makes your job a lot easier.
You're also seeing the next generation of what we hope are some of the best Irish players. You look at the likes of Victor Rajanvuna and Michael Noonan doing their thing in the Under-17s World Cup at the moment. As somebody who knows the position very well, what are you seeing from Michael Noonan in training? And because it seems that when we look at him from game to game, and certainly what he's doing over there at the moment, he has an unbelievably high ceiling.
Absolutely, yeah. Same as Victor and Max and I suppose Alex. There's 4 very good players from Shamrock Rovers. They're representing the country. Is watching the game earlier today. We got the draw. They've topped the group, so very, very interesting to follow the rest of that tournament and see how they get on.
Is Michael Noonan someone that's asking questions? Is he quiet in training? What's his sort of path to getting better? Because there's no doubt that that's going to happen as well for him.
Yeah, I think it will. He's only gone 17th. You know, he's playing men's football, able to, I suppose, deal with hardened season pros, probably knocking lumps out of him each week. He can run all day. He can finish. He's got a great attitude. You see him working hard in the gym, doing extras on the training pitch afterwards. So I suppose if he keeps that consistency for the next 3 or 4 years, he's still going to be a young man at that point, and just can't wait to see, I suppose, the level that he ends up at.
Yeah. What's next for you now? Obviously, there's a good bit of European football, hopefully, still to be played, and hopefully you manage to replicate what happened last season in terms of getting out of the league phase in Europe. Have you thought about next season? And how, like, I'm not even sure how those two things meld together. Like, does your contract go until the end of the European campaign, and then you think about next year, or when does that break actually happen?
Yeah, I suppose that is what's happening. I suppose for a while the main focus was trying to qualify for group stages. Then the next focus was trying to get in the league locked down. And I'm 36 now, so I know that time isn't on my side. So it is a case of just reviewing it at the end of the season, which obviously is quite soon. But I suppose I need to sit down with the manager and see what he wants to do. And obviously, I want to keep going for as long as possible. But at the same time, I don't want to be a passenger for any team.
Is there a chance you've played your last domestic game for Rovers?
I wouldn't say that, but I suppose to be honest, I don't actually know right now, but I'd love to still be playing again next year, put it that way.
Yeah, and obviously this season is far from over from your standpoint. The last couple of games in the league phase that you've got in the Conference League were always going to be the most forgiving of the fixtures. I presume the belief is still very high in the squad, despite maybe the disappointment at the full-time whistle last week, that you guys can get out of the league phase.
Yeah, I think the 7 points got out last year. Don't know, maybe to go down to the goal difference, but I suppose it's in our hands at the minute. We'll be aiming to try and get a result. I know it's probably the odds be against us, but we'll be aiming to get a result against Shakhtar. You know, we always give a good account for ourselves in Tala down through the years. We've beaten some very big teams and we've had some good results at home. So we'll be full belief that we can do that again. And the last 2 games are the most winnable on paper. There's no denying that. So we know that 7 points is definitely minimum what we need, but 8 would be brilliant.
Does playing through the League of Ireland's off-season help or hinder you?
To qualify definitely helps. When you think about it in July, when a lot of teams are only coming back to pre-season, that's helping us qualify. Obviously now it's supposed to be a bit of a hindrance where you're taking a week to 10 days off and you have a week training before you're playing a top quality team like Shakhtar Donetsk, who I don't think they're in the middle of an off season somehow. And I suppose a team from Iceland, they're going to be in an off season. A team from Malta are probably in season. So it's probably a bit of a nuisance at this stage, but I suppose you have to take the rest while you can, because next season is going to be long and unforgiving again. Well,
hopefully it's an enjoyable week's rest for you, Rory. Many congratulations once again on Sunday, and very best of luck with the remainder of this European campaign. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Cheers. Rory Gaffney of Shamrock Rovers on the line. We'll take a quick break.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by William Hill. Download the app and play today. 18 plus gamblingcare.ie.
This is News Talk, Alive and Kicking with Claire McKenna.
This week on the Alive and Kicking podcast, clinical psychologist Dr. Amy Watchorn on how social media taps into the brain's reward system.
There's another part of the brain that's called the prefrontal cortex, which is the part that's involved in kind of planning, problem solving. It's like the CEO, the manager of the brain. And that part is the part that will tell us, okay, hang on a second, we probably have other things we need to do. I need to put down the phone now.
Catch the Alive and Kicking podcast at newstalk.com or in the News Talk app powered by Go Loud.
News Talk, conversation that counts.
Great to see you back at Specsavers. Okay, could you read out the letters on the wall for me?